morning, everyone, and welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Suzanne. I'm the music director, and I'm in a different space this morning. Behind me is all white, unfinished walls. I am in what is to be the new office for our congregation. It has a strong Wi-Fi signal, and I'm here. I brought my keyboard in so that we can remain connected and together. So in a sense, this is the first service held at our new sanctuary. And I have your announcements for the coming week. This Wednesday, as every Wednesday, Reverend Wayne and Jillian host meditation on Zoom from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. This is for beginners and intermediates. All are welcome. Wednesdays and Thursdays, the C Committee encourages you to support Sandwich Sisters. Fight poverty by preparing sandwiches for local charities. You can contact me for more information. Every Sunday morning, Zach Getchell hosts our child caregiver program from 9 to 9:30 a.m., and that's here in our regular Sunday Zoom space. Sunday, January 10th, the Nickelhead Magazine for the Arts deadline is coming for issue number 1. This is a new art zine put out by members of our congregation. Please send your submissions to knucklehead@marmarick.com. On Sunday, January 17th, we'll have a special presentation by Jonathan Rudin of the DJC, Understanding the Overrepresentation of Indigenous People in the Canadian Prison System. That's at 2 p.m. on Zoom. All are welcome. Volunteering at Neighborhood. The Neighborhood Dance Party Collective needs hosts. What you need is internet access and the willingness to host once a month a dance party. You can contact volunteering at nuuc.ca for more information. Here is a view of the lighting and our sanctuary, including the projection wall. That's just behind me in the big space. Getting there, everyone. Here's the same space, but facing the other direction, looking into the cappuccino room. And I can't read what it says on the bottom of that, but here's more views of our sanctuary space. The Wisdom Path, Money, Spirit, Life, a small group. In 3 parts, each 90 minutes for 12 workshops in total. Money and Self, Money and Society, Money, Spirit, and Life, a UUA Adult Tapestry of Faith program. Part 1 is Money and Self, build awareness of and explore your own attitudes and experiences with money. Part 2, Money and Society, explore how our financial ways of being affect one another. And Part 3, Money, Spirit, and Life, guide participants toward actions that align one's faith, values, and sense of life calling with financial ways of being. You can contact John Whitehead or Helen Armstrong for more information or to sign up for one or all 3 parts. Begins in January. C invites members to register for the Just Eat It Toronto Food Waste Challenge from January 18th to February 28th. More information will come out in your weekly Zoom, weekly announcement sent from our office. And an announcement from Rose.
Hi there. Okay, I'm assuming you can hear me. I just wanted to give you a bit of an update. Last time, Wayne told the congregation that First declined purchasing the St. Catharines of Siena building because it was unaffordable. And I just wanted to let you all know that since then, we've received a communication that the owners of the building dropped their price so that it would have been affordable for First. And the board of First unanimously voted to not purchase the building, so that because they thought that a healthy relationship with neighborhood and the other congregations was more important. So the next time that you're with friends from First or any other way that we can show appreciation, certainly we have, just that's in order, that they made a sacrifice of, we know how much work it is to look for a new home, and they did that. So I just wanted to let you know. Thanks.
And next Sunday, our theme is Welcoming the New Year. Message will be given by our minister, Reverend Wayne Walder, and music will be provided by myself and friends.
Thanks, Suzanne, and welcome to our neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation here on Zoom. It's wonderful to see you all out there in cyberspace, and wonderful to welcome you here as we continue to stay emotionally and spiritually close in these times when we continue to stay physically apart. My name's Jennifer Good, and I am your virtual service leader this morning. And I would like to let you know about some awesome people with whom I am sharing today's service. So you just heard from Suzanne. Suzanne Mazars is Neighborhood's musical director. Zach Getchell facilitates our Sunday Child and Caregiver program. And today he will be offering a time for all ages. Kathy Campbell is doing Zoom web hosting, and Gordon Klee is helping out today with cutting and pasting. I'm very pleased to let you know that Beverly Horton is with us today and is offering today's sermon, You Are Here, and will also be leading our meditation, our prayer today. Our minister is the Reverend Wayne Walder. So I would like to say thank you to all of these wonderful folks, and thank you to all of you wonderful people for being here. I think we are all pretty well versed these days in Zoom etiquette, but I'll just say that please remember to stay muted. Please don't send chats to the entire group during service, although keep your chat open for readings and lyrics. This service is being recorded for the public. It will be shared on YouTube and our new wonderful, I must say, beautiful website. Joys and concerns or similar personal moments will be edited out of the video. But if you have any kinds of privacy concerns, you can turn off your camera and you can rename yourself if you so wish. We don't tend to think of cyberspace and sacred space as coming together. But I do think that together we can celebrate the reality that the sacred is everywhere. So now we have nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. If you would like to shut down your other apps that might distract you, you could put your devices on Do Not Disturb and be present. This is our threshold moment. Let us enter sacred space together. Our service begins now. As we light our chalice, I encourage you to light your own personal chalice or a candle, or you could hold your hands together in the shape of a chalice. And I'm going to ask Suzanne to light our chalice as we sing.
We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts.
Thank you, Suzanne. And now I'm going to ask Suzanne to introduce our prelude.
Good morning, everyone. This morning's prelude was chosen by Beverly Horton. In fact, all the music in our service today, Beverly chose to relate to her sermon. And I thought it notable that they all come from our hymnal, Singing the Journey. And we're talking about how to move forward from here. We're doing the song, Where Do We Come From?, which is text by Paul Gauguin and arranged by Canadian composer Brian Tate, who Beverly and I had the pleasure to sing with a few years ago at the UUMN Summer Conference. Hope you enjoy. Thanks to Beverly and Allison for sharing their voices on this prelude. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery. Mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Where do we come from? Mystery.
What are we?
Life
Where
is
are we
a mystery.
going?
Where do we come? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Where do we come? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we?
Life is
Where are we
going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we mystery from? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery from? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Allison, and thank you, Beverly. That was beautiful. So good morning and welcome. So welcome to 2021. At least that's the new year according to the Gregorian calendar. In the current Jewish calendar, the year is 5781. And then on Friday, February 12th, it will be the Chinese New Year. But welcome to 2021. I feel like one of the blessings of the past year, and amidst the profound sadness and devastation for so many, But one of the blessings has been the opportunity to evaluate. This past year has been a desperately needed forced pause in business as usual, both literally and figuratively. During this forced pause, I have found myself spending time pondering the incredible importance of understanding ourselves as fundamentally integrated in, fundamentally a part of the web of life. The eco-theologian Joanna Macy, whose books I've been reading a lot lately, she talks about the, quote, mechanistic, anthropocentric assumptions of our mainstream culture. And she says that the intellectual assent to an ecological vision of life is not enough. What she calls our heart mind must be retrained. We will have to practice and decondition our responses and understandings. The imagination needs to be schooled, Joanna Macy writes, in order to experience our inter-existence with all beings in the web of life. Many Indigenous people have, over the centuries, told us in a variety of ways about this interexistence with the web of life. It is therefore with great gratitude for those teachings and so much else that Indigenous people have shared with us over the centuries to this day, that I ask us all to remember that the land many of us are on today is the traditional land and territories of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Mississauga, the Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe Chippewa nations. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of the world. If you are visiting us for the first time, we welcome you. Please stay around after the service. We will have breakout rooms, and there will be a breakout room specifically for newcomers. And Suzanne will be there to greet you and answer any questions that you might have about who we are and what we do. Our theme for January 2021 is Here We Grow Again. Traditionally at this time in the service, we would all turn to our neighbors and greet each other. So now I ask you to briefly unmute your device and offer greetings to those around you. You can turn to gallery view and we'll sound a chime at the end. So please take a moment to greet each other.
Hello.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, everyone.
Yo, hello.
Horton,
Mary.
Christina.
Hi, Dina.
Hi, everyone. Hi,
Jesse.
Peter.
Good to see.
Michelle.
Hi.
Lauren. Hi, Fred. Hi, Rebecca.
Terry and Bruce.
Hurrah.
Mary.
Michelle, hi.
Karen.
Terry and Bruce. Hello, Terry and Bruce.
Hey, Wayne.
Hi, Julie. Margot. Where are you, Margot?
Brenda.
Hi,
Julie.
Nice to see you, Mel.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Jesse. Hi, Deb. Hi, Tina.
Sarah.
Hi, Chris. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Dude.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Suzanne.
Welcome back. Thank you, that was great. I invite you to join me in reading our opening words, which will now appear on your screen. If you're on a phone, you can follow my words and memory will fill in the rest. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here, a space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. As we hold this place open to grace and insight, please join Suzanne for our opening song. Suzanne?
Please join me in singing. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 Oh yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Suzanne. Now is the time for all ages, and I would like to pass things over to Zach.
Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. And I'd like to offer a very special welcome to Beverly Horton. Thank you for joining us today. Beverly is going to be talking to us a little bit later about how we might move more towards a racially just world. Now, I'm going to tell you all the truth, and the truth is that racial justice is not something I'm an expert at. It's something that I'm still striving to learn more about, and there are other people who would be better suited to teaching us a bit about this. So I found a video of a short book written and read by a person with more personal experience in this area than me. I was hoping that we could watch the video together, and that we could together take, or for some of us review, what I see as the first step towards racial justice, and that's understanding what racism is and how we can recognize it. Because once we can recognize it, we can start to dismantle it. So I'd like to share that with you now, and thank you for all listening along with me.
My name's Jelani Memory, and this is a kid's book about racism. This is a book about racism, for reals, and yes, it really is for kids. It's a good book to read with a grown-up, because you'll have lots to talk about afterward. Just you, keep reading. The book won't bite. Now to introduce myself. My name is Jelani. My skin color looks like this. If you're colorblind, this is the color brown. Because my dad is black and my mom is white, which makes me mixed. Or African American, biracial, black, or a person of color. I'm proud of who I am and the color of my skin, but because of my skin color, people aren't always nice to me. Sometimes I get called names. Other times, it's worse. The person doing it might not even realize that it hurts me a lot. And when they treat me that way, it makes me feel small. You see, some people believe that having different color skin means you aren't as good as others. That's called racism. What is racism? Racism means to hate someone, exclude them, or treat them badly because of their race or the color of their skin. And it happens all the time. Not just in big ways, but sometimes it shows up in small ways, ways that are almost invisible. Like a look, a comment, a question, a thought, a joke, a word, or a belief. Racism is one of the worst kinds of mean someone can be, because racism thinks being different is bad. But being different is actually good. Like really, almost there, I promise. Really good. 1000% good. Because being different means we have so much more to offer each other. Things like help, ideas, strength, skills, creativity, life, patience, respect, community, love, knowledge, experience, perspective, insight, diversity, wisdom, empathy, and originality. That whole being different thing, it makes us better, much better. So if you see someone being treated badly, made fun of, excluded from playing, or looked down on because of their skin color, call it racism.
Zach, thanks so much. That was really powerful. This is a special time in our service when we invite you to come forward and we light a candle for a joy or a concern in your life. If you would like to raise a virtual hand, we'll light a candle for a joy or a concern. If you're here, if you're participating on a phone without a screen, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. To speak, you need to unmute yourself. And once you have spoken, if you could please remute yourself, that would be great. Please respect the sacredness of this ritual and refrain from making announcements or telling stories. This is a cherished time in our community that brings us closer together in times that are separating us. I would like to start with 2 candles. I would like to light this first candle in gratitude for all of the volunteer efforts, seen and unseen, that help our community to not only hold together, but also to flourish. I would like to light this second candle for the ongoing and nothing short of heroic work that so many essential workers have undertaken this past almost year. The administering of the COVID vaccine, a vaccine that so many of us are celebrating as a light at the end of the tunnel is yet another essential worker task upon which we are reliant. Thank you. I am now very pleased to have the opportunity to welcome and to introduce Beverly Horton. Beverly will be offering today's meditation, prayer, and sermon. Beverly Horton has been a Unitarian Universalist for 20 years, and she is a member of the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton for nearly as long. She has been active in leadership at her congregation, most squarely focused on music ministry, and has extended that leadership to the broader denominational context, serving as the co-chair of the nominating committee for the Association of UU Music Ministries, delivering sermons and crafting services at her home congregation, speaking at the Hamilton branch of the UU United Nations organization, facilitating workshops at CUC conferences and gatherings, and serving as co-chair of the CUC's Dismantling Racism Study Group. Beverly actively advocates for our individual and collective commitment to dismantling racism and achieving racial justice made manifest in the beloved community. Beverly, thank you, welcome, and I will now pass things over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. The meditation words I would like to share with you this morning, the poem entitled Remembering the Future by Reverend Teresa Soto. Can we develop the skill of remembering the future? Can we commit to build the community that will extend into a time that we only know by memory because it will outlast us? Memorize the compass points of the day yet to come, the truth, the love, the fire, the endless yes of the horizon. Shake the scales from your imagination, reach, stretch, rise. There is no more time for pretending that everything can be all right without your care, without your attention. You can mourn, grief being more real at times than the promise of the sunrise, more real than the peace of the moon, that by inconstant silver turns and disappears. And yet, while we may mourn changes, losses, deceptions, and betrayals, beneath the ash, we will find the ember. We weep, and then, as we have learned from labor movements, we organize. Remember the day towards which we gather, the tomorrow toward which we advance. It is with your actions today that you engage that muscle memory, that sense of smell, the ragged velvet feel of a day that you have never lived. It is also your day. Remember it well. Blessed be. So my sermon today, the longer version of the title is You Are Here, GPS and Dismantling Racism. A few process notes. In the invitation to speak today was an expressed interest in, quote, the resolution that has resulted in the CUC's Dismantling Racism Study Group, the current findings of this group, and how we as Unitarian Universalists can become involved, end quote. Rather than a report on a report, I'd like to explore the project of dismantling racism as an expression of intention, identity, location, and destination. Now a note about the title. First pass at the title was, what do you mean, white man? the power of pronouns. Some of you might notice the reference to the Lone Ranger, but for others, it may be too far in the past. Tonto's cheeky question would lead to a different destination, a discussion about racial identity, resistance, and strategic collaboration. So I pivoted and came up with You Are Here, GPS, and Dismantling Racism, much less spicy and more clearly connected to my mandate. Where do we come from? Origin and intention. Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you how the DRSC got here. DRSC is the Dismantling Racism Study Group. New Orleans, 2017, my first General Assembly. The eighth principle was brought forward for consideration. The proposed eighth principle read, we, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by building a diverse, multicultural, beloved community, by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. I was willing to stipulate that the phrasing's kind of awkward, but I was still intrigued. Over pizza, beer, and perhaps a margarita or two, Reverend Julie Stoneberg and I talked about the UUA's proposed eighth principle and mused about what some version of it might look like in a Canadian context. The backgrounder for the eighth principle indicates that beloved community happens when people of diverse racial, ethnic, educational, class, gender, sexual orientation identities come together in an interdependent relationship of love, mutual respect, and care that seeks to realize justice within the community and in the broader world. GPS, calculating to beloved community. In December of 2018, Julie and I presented a motion focused on adopting an eighth principle that was resonant and relevant in the Canadian cultural and historical context. The motion met significant resistance. Several responses focused on racism as, quote, a pressing concern in the US, unquote, that was not applicable to UU congregations here in Canada. There was a response focused on, quote, urgent need to address the legacy and continuing problems of colonialism as it impacts Indigenous peoples, as if colonialism weren't an expression of racism. And of course, wordsmithing was an issue. The draft UUA eighth principle is awkwardly worded, out of tone with the other principles, and unsuited to serve as a principle. I hope the person who made that statement is not in the room. GPS recalculating. We revised the motion, coming up with one that boiled down to identifying and assessing efforts in our excuse me, congregations and communities to dismantle racism and other oppressions, to engage Canadian UUs in serious conversation and action about racism, considering commitment to racial justice and how it could be woven into our founding document, and of course, presenting a report at the AGM. This resolution passed unanimously at the May 2019 annual general meeting. What are we? Identity. We're not youngsters. In the survey that the Dismantling Racism Study Group distributed, just shy of 50% of the respondents were over 65 years of age. We are overwhelmingly white, not me, but in general. 90% of survey respondents identified as white. We are people with good intentions, grateful for our Unitarian Universalist values that uphold commitment to justice, inclusion, diversity, and radical welcome. A peek into the CUC archives suggests as much. An expression of truth and reconciliation to survivors of the Indian residential school system, publication of the Truth, Healing, and Reflection Guide, issued statements on police violence against Indigenous people, and statement mourning the deaths of more people of color. We are not racist, but I'd like to note that the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, Ibram Kendi, asserts that a not racist is a racist in denial. We, with some exceptions, admit we have a problem and that racism and white supremacy are present in our communities in spite of our intentions and values. Yet, GPS recalculating. We get Indigenous issues, how residential schools are a product of settler colonialism, but don't quite get how white supremacy ties settler colonialism and anti-Black racism together. We are able to respond to classism and sexism, but wring our hands unable to figure out what to do about racial justice. You are here. Location, location, location. And the survey says truth, healing, and reconciliation work, worship services addressing racial injustice, sharing the plate in support of racial justice initiatives, anti-racism training, children's RE programming on racism, reading groups focused on racism, partnering with BIPOC organizations or community groups are the ways that racial justice initiatives happen in your congregation. GPS, recalculating. But you are here too. When asked how you and your congregation have been changed by doing racial justice work, 572 respondents skipped this question, and more than 20% of the remaining respondents indicated that racism is not a priority, or they reported neither change nor action, or indicated that racism was not applicable. Where are we going? Destination. The following excerpts from the rubric created by Julica Herman de la Fuente suggests ways in which the beloved community could manifest itself in our congregations and suggest what dismantled racism looks like in an anti-racist congregation. Theology. The congregation sees racial justice work as a natural expression of its traditions, values, and beliefs, articulates a communal theology of racial justice, and evaluates issues and actions through the lens of its faith. Public witness and prophetic voice. The congregation realizes its role in the public square. A large number of members regularly, boldly, and accountably use their institutional capital to publicly proclaim their yearning for racial justice and equity as a natural outgrowth of their religious values. The congregation has a vital and healthy process that engages newcomers and invites them to contribute their perspective and energy to the collective project in the public square. Worship. The congregation regularly expresses its commitment to building a racially just and loving world through communal worship, embodied ritual, and practices of joy and gratitude. Multiple voices and cultures are carefully and thoughtfully incorporated in the service. Worship also occurs outside the traditional Sunday morning format. And partnerships and solidarity with community. The congregation cultivates culture and spiritual humility and develops deep and mutually fulfilling partnerships with other faith communities and coalitions working for racial justice. Congregations understand that they have opportunities to influence systems in their work life and the communities they live in. They leverage resources and support in their congregation the work that makes this more effective. Intention, identity, location, destination. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? And where are you?
Beverly, thank you so much. In these times of isolation, let us not forget that this congregation is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it. We are unable to pass the basket, but for those of you who make contributions to the basket each week, please consider writing a check or making an e-transfer, which is the best, most cost-effective way to give. You can also go to Neighborhood's beautiful new website and use the PayPal function. Please consider offering a recurring gift. A link is in your chat window for you now, and all you need to do is click on the link and it will take you to our donation page. We're going to pause now while Suzanne plays.
We're just going to do verse 3 today about sharing and being there for each other when we need it. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Call me when you need a friend, call me, call me.
Thanks, Suzanne. And now I'm going to return it back to you for our final song.
Thank you. Our closing song today is Building a New Way by Martha Sandeffer. She's one of the songwriters of the group Work of the Weavers, which is a continuation of Pete Seeger's music. But this is her original song. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom.
Thanks, Suzanne. I am now going to ask Suzanne if she will extinguish our chalice as we sing.
Looks like the chalice is about to extinguish itself, in fact. Although our chalice has been darkened, we hold the fire within our own hearts.
Joanna Macy, whose words I shared at the start of the service, calls gratitude a stance of the soul. Thankfulness, she writes, loosens the grip of the industrial growth society by contradicting its predominant message that we are insufficient and inadequate. But, she writes, gratitude is liberating. It is subversive. It helps us realize that we are sufficient, and that realization frees us. Indigenous cultures have retained this knowledge, and we can learn from their practices. End of quote. As we enter 2021, I would like to offer that I am so grateful for today's service and for all of you. We have a tradition of circling round and holding each other's hands at the end of service. Instead, let us say namaste, which means I salute the spirit within you. Please put your camera on gallery view, unmute yourself, and let us say namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. Bless everyone. Namaste. Hope everyone stays safe and well.
Thank you, John.
Take care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You all.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Beverly.
Thank you
Stay
all.
safe.
You're welcome.
Our service has ended. For those of you who do not wish to join a breakout room, thank you for joining us. Everyone who remains here will be assigned to a breakout room. Please remember that if you are new to neighborhood, please feel free to remain in this main space so that you can be welcomed by Suzanne. Today's question that could be considered in breakout rooms is, what role might we, our beloved community, play in dismantling racism and achieving racial justice? The breakout rooms will begin shortly. Go in peace.